Hi, welcome to the In-Laws We Trust podcast. I'm Ash.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Kai, and we are all in-laws to the same family. This has been years in the making. We've worked really hard on it, and we're so excited to share something so vulnerable with you.
Yeah, we learned so much from each other having these types of conversations, tableside just like this. And we felt that it was a good time to let you all in to what we experienced. Hopefully it helps you guys out too.
In this episode, we talk about our backgrounds, our experiences, how that differs from the people that we're with, and how that can become a conversation in itself. And then we also talk about why we're doing the podcast in the first place. So, cheers to you, the listener, for tuning in, and to our first episode.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Why did we come together?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, this is like months in the making.
No.
Years.
Years in the making.
I think we should go to the beginning when this first actually came. If I may.
Okay.
We were at a party, right? Remember that party? So
I was there too, but
yes,
I didn't know you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we knew each other, but
no.
not like that.
Right.
And then Jonathan approaches and is like, hey, there's this idea that we got. You should come over here. We got to tell you something. And I was like, all right. And you and Kylie should start a podcast. And you guys have a lot of deep conversations. And, you should be like the in-laws, talking about how it is, experiences through that.
Yeah.
And kind of stopped there. We were excited.
Right.
It was a great idea. We stopped there. I mean,
That was it. It was just an idea.
That was an idea.
It was
That's all it
a
was.
really
Right.
good idea, but never really a push
Right.
to do it.
What was stopping you from pushing through with that idea?
I'm going to say, kids.
Very
Definitely
real.
parenthood, all that happened. What about you?
Fear.
Fear?
I've never done anything like this before.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I can yap, but for everyone else to hear and for it to be there forever, that
Oh,
freaked me
yeah.
out.
The footprint.
Yeah.
That just hit me right now. This thing is going to be on forever. It's going to be out there in the world, out in the internet.
Your daughters will find it.
Yeah.
Hi from the past.
Sorry for the bad. Hello.
Mhm.
Daddy did it for you.
It's all for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so fast forward. That was what, 2000, maybe 19, 20? Somewhere around there?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Years ago.
Yeah, years. Okay.
Wow.
And then
We're in 2024
we're in
now.
2024. And then that brings us to
Damn.
now. 2024
Mhm.
was that, first big family Vegas trip.
Yeah. What a
Right?
great time.
Great time.
Great time.
And then we knew Ashley a little bit more after that.
Yeah.
And then
A lot more.
A lot more. A lot more.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then conversation happened. And it was like, wow.
No, you two had the conversation.
We were having
You guys
conversations.
were huddled up together.
At a ton of golf.
At a ton of golf, yes. You guys were huddled up together. And I was just walking over and I'm like, guys, this is a perfect time to talk about the idea.
Yes.
We have a podcast.
Yes.
And then
Music blasting.
Yeah,
Music
It's
blasting, people hitting the golf course.
Cosmic lights.
Trying not to fall. But yes. And then I think, you brought up the podcast.
Yes.
And it was like, what was the idea? And I was like, whoa, I resonate with that. I
Yes.
feel that.
Yeah.
Because what really triggered that thought was the fact that you guys looked like you were in deep conversation too.
Mm.
And I mean that was something that you and I
Always.
shared.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Ashley's an in-law.
Yeah.
Or soon to be.
Yes, she's
Oh
on
my
the
God.
way.
100%.
On the way.
100%. And then,
Sure.
and here we are.
Here we are.
I think we should talk about that part.
Mhm.
The process to get to here. Because
Yeah.
we had a few meetings,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
We have a few strengths and weaknesses that we discussed.
Mhm.
Yes.
You want to go yours first?
Yeah, of course. I mean, both Brian and I, consistency is what's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And that last push of, going for what you're afraid to do. I can talk about it as much as I want, but actually doing it is a whole different story.
That's right.
And when Ashley came, she's the person that does it,
Yes.
She doesn't just talk, she does it.
Yeah.
So that's, for me at least, I feel like that's what pushed me.
Yes.
And I'm still scared. I'm like sweating right now. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm really happy.
It's not the lighting.
It's on the lighting. It's a lot more than the lighting.
Yeah,
Behind the light, just kidding.
Yeah. The lighting's good. What do you mean?
Yeah. I'm sure it's great.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I know that this is me going out of my comfort zone for something bigger, and that is a change that I'm willing to go for. So
Ash?
Yeah, well, like I said, I kind of just do things. I've taken YOLO to heart,
Love that.
and
love that.
I'm always I always have my hand in creative projects, and I think that this has been something I've been kind of like ruminating on for a very long time, and like knowing that I wasn't alone when you guys were talking about it, I was like, it's not just me, that's crazy. And so like having this idea to like make it into something that other people could relate to. I literally like had a conversation with one of my best friends the other day, and she was like navigating how to like talk to her partner about like family dynamics and like things that are happening in their family. And there was like a funeral, and now she's like, I have something to say.
Yeah.
How do I go about this? And
Yes.
I felt like this concept as it was coming along, and then like that conversation I had with her was like divine timing for me. Whereas like, no, there's like more than just us. It's not specific to our situation, but so many people like integrating into people's lives is like a huge factor of being in a relationship. So
I mean, that's basically the foundation of this podcast, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like we are, sharing experiences through the lens of, relationships. And among the three of us, our partners are actual relatives. They're family, and all that stuff. So we get to
we're coming in.
We're coming in to the fold, and we have a perspective that, we can share amongst ourselves, and we're learning and bouncing ideas off of each other. And I mean, going forward, that's kind of like what we're going to be hitting. We have all these topics as it pertains to our own like relationships, and then, looking forward, hoping it helps somebody out there,
Because at the end of the day, like, you love the person you're with,
Yes,
right? And you want to
100%.
make sure like the people that they love and love them back, you have that relationship too, because that's super important, especially when you have like kids and stuff. You obviously have a relationship with that, and like, you can just be there and like coast, but you can also have an active kind of conversation with yourself, especially because also part of this podcast is our own growth.
Yes.
That's what it's really about too.
It is.
Yeah.
I believe that's the biggest part of it, really. It's like what we're going to heal from doing this, what we're going to grow from too. And we're all, in our relationships, we're all for the long run.
Yeah.
And the only way we can really make that long run is through consistently growing and reflecting and talking about it, really.
Yes.
Communication.
Hey.
Oh, no.
And I love that we're coming from like hey. I love that we're also coming from like different levels, right? Like you have children, you newlywed, me not yet wed. Like we're getting there though. So it's like from the perspective of like this kind of level of integration is very interesting too.
That's fine. And I think that's the appeal of it all. It's just the fact that my personal story and like my perspective, there's room for like change and like growing and having, your guys' like input and learning from you guys. That's big for me.
Right.
And of course, that's another like thing that hypes me up about this podcast. And I get to learn so much, get a different perspective, and hopefully have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's stop selling them on the podcast because you're already on. Like
Yes,
what? Let's
yes.
talk about, like, segue into background. Like, what
Uh-huh.
is everyone's background?
Mm.
Where'd you come from?
I came from home.
Okay.
I came from Glendale. No, you guys have first, and then I'll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I also came from home.
There you go. Okay.
But no, I think we're all from LA
Yes.
area. We're all from the LA area. But I
Go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers.
Go
2024.
Dodgers.
So I'm from LA, and I came from a family of immigrants, moved here in the 80s. My parents were really young. They had me very young. So they're divorced now for 22 years. So a lot of my life has been like step families and step parents and second families and a lot of things. I always say like I'm a walking contradiction because I continue to live a life of like two kind of separate parenting and two kind of separate lifestyles and families. And so that makes up a lot of my time and experience. And so like coming into like a committed relationship, it's like a third situation to be in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so like navigating that has been very interesting because it's like, it's a lot, it's like a plus one more than one can usually pretty handle.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my background is like coming from a place of a lot of challenging situations and a lot of alone time. That gives me a lot of time to think. And in terms of like relationship, like I wasn't in relationships in high school because I was a nerd. Just focused on school. I also went to an all girls school, so it's kind of like the effort to date was like way too difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I dated a little bit during college, and then I met my boyfriend during college. And yeah, so we've been together now for 6 years and 3/4.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 6 years strong.
6 years strong.
Dude,
We're going on
3/4
7.
though, you'd 7.
We're going on 7.
Yeah.
We're on 7. Let's call it 7.
Let's say 7. Yes.
7 years strong.
Mm-hmm. How about you guys?
Well, I used to live in Burbank when I was young. And
Fun
then,
fact.
yeah.
Didn't know that.
I moved here in 4th grade, and it was a really big change for me, I would say. I'm an oldest sister.
Me too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I only have one little sister, and that's enough. Because my parents are also immigrants. They came in the 90s, and there's just a lot of responsibility with being the oldest sibling in a Filipino family, really. Especially when your parents are immigrants.
Yes.
And navigating, their cultures and how things are run in the Philippines versus things here. So, apart from that too, I'm very close with my grandparents, but there's a lot of responsibility there too.
Right.
So, yeah, I've been with my partner for math.
We did the math earlier. We did the math earlier.
Oh, y'all tried to like prepare for this.
And still not prepared.
We're prepared as we'll ever be.
Yeah.
As we'll ever be.
Good.
We're here. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
We made it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been 8 years. 8 wonderful years. He's my first everything. And I know a lot of people have told me like, how could you do that? How could you not experience anything else? But I really feel like I never had to. And we just got married almost a year ago now in December of 2023. And it's been really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. New challenges, I'm sure.
Oh
too.
my gosh. A lot of challenges. It's been really hard, but it's been really fun.
Yeah. It's always worth it.
Always.
I mean, I believe in that whole like if it's not challenging you, then it's not for you. What is it gonna do? What is it gonna serve?
Growth comes from discomfort.
100%. And to speak to that, like I'm gonna have maybe like currently I'm a father of 2.
Woo.
Woo.
A's.
Yo.
Let's go A's.
Yo. That's a whole challenge in itself, right?
Oh yeah.
But I mean, prior to all that, I grew up in Eagle Rock.
Me too.
We got to talk about that too a little later. But yeah, I grew up in Eagle Rock, and also my parents were immigrants, oldest, all that. And then growing up, it was pretty much like very, like you got rules to follow, and you're gonna stick to those rules, and whatever is told, you follow. And that's been my upbringing. And then throughout middle school into high school, that was all I knew. And then high school kind of changed because I actually physically changed high schools. That was a big culture shock. And then that's where I felt like things started to kind of like change. And
when you switched high schools?
Yeah. And then for context, like I'm not really the best at handling change. That's still a work in progress.
Change is hard. That's
Change
really
is tough.
valid.
Change is tough.
Yeah.
But that was probably one of the more significant times in my life where it felt like everything was like closing in. And, but again, you learn from it,
Yeah.
gain experiences, and kind of propelled me into this like, all right, I'm going to experience life and, try to grow from this differently. I went through, like, when it comes to like relationships, like I think I started relationships pretty early in high school, navigated through several that, obviously didn't work out, but they were all a learning lesson, something I took from that I grew from. And then fast forward to, 2016, where I met my wife, and we've been together since. That's been, again, any relationship is going to have its challenges, but with that, you learn to grow together. You learn to endure those challenges together and navigate it. And I have no regrets, Yeah, got married 2020, almost a year later, got pregnant, and then now back here. Two kids later. It's like, they're in between all of that, I'm sure, like, we're going to talk about stuff that pertains to it. But, point is, challenges come with the territory, and it's like you've got to continue to be open to growing.
Yeah.
Opening yourselves up to, hey, this is great how it is, but you got to be prepared that this is going to need some like addressing. There's going to be some change that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And I feel too, like I teared up a little bit, my God. But like, I feel too, like, I have a lot of friends who are also single, and like, there's also a struggle with that too, right? But like, not a lot of people like validate the fact that like I feel like relationships are its own thing, because I feel like at its core, you're kind of forced to look at your own reflection so many times. Every freaking time, because how it affects the person that you love the most in this world.
Very
and it's
true.
like, it's so much change that happens, and like the growing pains, you feel it, but I don't know, like there are moments where you're at the other end of those pains, and it's like so worth it.
Yeah, that's like your payoff.
Yeah, that's the payoff. Yeah,
The reward.
It's like the hardest puzzle you'll solve. It's complete.
But then there in the future lies another puzzle.
So many puzzles.
That's when
It's endless.
Yeah, it's endless. Yeah. And I mean, I think
1,000 pieces.
I think that's a little something to all the single people out there, like understanding that you find somebody, it's gonna be great in the beginning. It's gonna be like everything is like working well.
Sunshines and rainbows.
Yes, but you're bound to come across some sort of bump in the road, some obstacle. It could be tiny hump, or it could be Mount Everest. But I've always told my like single friends or like friends that, you know, now find themselves in a relationship, it's like, you know, you're gonna be faced with something, and you gotta, it's not about what it is that you're gonna face, it's like knowing that that person next to you,
Mm-hmm.
y'all are like connected,
Mm-hmm.
and
You're
you're
in
on
it.
the same page,
Yeah.
and you're ready to like, you know, run through that wall together,
Yeah.
if that's
Yeah.
the case. But if they don't meet that criteria, like, I would say it's not about the looks, it's not about the prestige, you know, your status and all that stuff, because all that it fades.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Fades, but you gotta know, like, this person is like, you know, gonna ride with you.
Yeah.
Like,
Till the end.
till the
Till
end.
the end.
Till the
Who you
wheels
can
fall
work
off.
with.
you
Till
know?
the wheels fall off, and
Yeah.
even then,
Damn.
after that, yeah.
100%.
And
Wow.
it's even another thing is finding that balance between being your own person
Yes.
and caring enough for your significant other, where you're
Right.
always
Yeah.
thinking you know that everything you do affects them too.
Yeah.
That's a lot of when I talk to my single friends, that's something that is not really addressed all
Yeah.
the time. How hard that really can be,
Yeah.
where it's so easy to fall deep into your
Yes.
partner and
Yeah.
make them your everything, but at the same time that's so dangerous.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
you need to have your sense of self
Yeah.
too. So
But on the flip side too, it's like having that strong sense of self, but also like realizing that, oh shit, like, oh, I don't, can we guys this? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I stopped myself a couple times already, but I think we should.
yeah, be honest.
Natural conversation.
Let it all
Yeah.
out.
It's like, oh shit, like, you know, I owe it to you to be like, this is where I'm at, like,
Yes.
this is what I'm doing, like, because they care about you and you care about them.
Mhm.
So like on the flip side, like for me, like I feel like my relationship we're very independent, like from
Right.
each other in so many ways. But now as like we're kind of growing and like moving forward, it's like there are some things that I just can't just do on my own as much. I
That's
feel
right.
like at least be transparent, you know?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, it's give and take,
Mm-hmm.
you know? We play off of each other in relationships. That point that you made, I think it's something severely overlooked, and
Yeah.
you know, it should be highlighted more. Just knowing that, hey, don't lose yourself in this too, because not only are you gonna benefit yourself, but you're gonna benefit your partner. They're gonna see that, hey, you know, they're actually, you know, stepping back, because you have the intention of stepping back and growing, you know, building yourself up, like trying to improve on things.
Mm-hmm.
But you're coming back to the relationship to
Right,
like,
right.
again, you're serving, right?
Yeah.
The relationship is like serving each other.
Yeah.
That's how I think, especially going back to what I said, like several relationships, I don't think that point really clicked for me until like the end. And of course, that's why I'm married. And it's like, you know, it finally
When the
worked
lesson
out.
finally got through,
Finally,
it was,
yeah.
it was
And I mean, you know
real
what? I swallowed my pride, and I was like, no, there's some shit that was on me too, you know, and I need to work on it, and
Yeah.
and continuing to work on,
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, taking accountability for your actions is like
Oh.
one of like
We
one
can
of the
talk
hard,
about that.
one
Yeah.
of the hardest things to do, because again, it is a reflection of who you really are.
Right.
And like I think so many times, like just as individuals, like we don't want to think of ourselves as bad people, but
No.
sometimes we're not bad people. We
Right.
just make bad
Bad
decisions.
decisions
sometimes,
sometimes,
you know?
yeah, bad choices, bad decisions.
Bad
for sure.
decisions, and I don't think, and in the unfortunate circumstance, it's like sometimes that does affect the person that we're
Yeah,
with.
they catch the strays.
They
you
catch
know?
the strays.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it goes back and forth, right?
But it goes
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they get the realest version of us, but then they get the best of us.
Right.
And that's love.
Yeah. So that's such a hard thing to navigate towards,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
because as you said, seeing your reflection, you're forced to. Like you have
Mhm.
no choice, because if you choose to deny it, then it's not going to work.
Right.
That's
like
right.
you're gonna keep hurting people, you're gonna keep hurting yourself.
Yeah.
And unfortunately sometimes it takes like reaching that breaking point,
Mhm.
and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
And so when we consider like the reflection of ourselves and who we are in this time, how it affects our partners, like how we've kind of talked about our backgrounds, our upbringings, and like how does that relate to the people that we're currently with,
Mm.
who all grew up with each other.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
That's the connection.
I mean, from what I understand in that question, it's kind of like we are coming into the fold with a different perspective, but not so much different from our partners because we're all same background as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more subtle as far as what's differences. But I mean, do I have to say what particularly? I think
if you like, that's your discretion.
I mean,
and you don't have to share names or anything.
No, for sure.
My wife.
I mean, biggest highlight is communication.
Mhm.
That's the backbone. That's what's gonna carry us through, and that's kind of been our biggest
Yeah, absolutely. And I think communication is they always say, communication is key. But it's really hard to open up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
In general.
I definitely have learned that through the years
Yeah.
that it's very difficult for my partner to open up.
Right.
And I mean, that's throughout the relationship early on, that's just something that you kind of learn to deal with. You kind of learn that we can work around it.
Yeah.
But when the stakes get higher, of course, and down the line, that's inevitable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Communication needs to be strong, needs to be clear, and that communication, signals, hey, we're pulling in the same direction.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But not to say that one was better at communication versus the other.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a realization that's hey, you know what? Some of the stuff that we were into before and what got us, what brought us success in the relationship and longevity is probably not working in this situation.
Right.
Somebody had to be cognizant of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do you do, right? So in my case, I felt like there was some self-work, a lot of self-work that needed to be done, finding different avenues to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you couple that with just our upbringings and kind of hey, this is all I know, through what my parents have gone through, seeing what my family members have gone through and how they communicate. It's shitty. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to go that way.
Absolutely.
So then
Yeah.
You want to break that.
You want to
You want to break
that.
the cycle.
break the cycle. So
Yeah.
that's part of that accountability too. So you gotta recognize that's on me. I gotta fix it. So the process of getting better at communicating, understanding myself, and then bringing it to the table, it kind of opened up a new door, and it's a new challenge for us going forward.
It's a push and pull for sure. I mean, I feel that because I grew up in a very tumultuous household, a lot of conflict, a lot of loud conflict, a lot of verbal, and not necessarily skin to skin physical, but like skin to item, you know?
Skin to item.
Skin to
I've
items.
seen that all the above.
And so I feel like, yeah, I think like the upbringing that I come from compared to like he doesn't like the word partner, so my boyfriend is like one that's very different. And I don't think he is necessarily at his best either. At first, when I thought we were together, I was like, no, this is like the better way.
Right.
But now after conversation, I'm like kind of like hitting a wall a few times in our communication. It feels like I'm talking to one and like having to like have those other conversations where it's like, well, you know, when we're not in a good place, maybe don't shut down because then like I get anxious.
Yeah.
And it gets and I need to hear something.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I don't need that immediately because if I get that immediately, then I'm gonna fight back. Like I'm gonna throw punches. Like not actually. Okay.
I mean, you know that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But you're a guy. But you want to. You're like, ooh.
Yeah.
So like it's again that push and pull of that balance where it's like you're not perfect at this, nor am I perfect at this, but how can we both like meet that healthy middle?
Yes.
For me, it's honestly amazing, really, to hear both of your perspectives because I know I'll learn so much from all of this. For me, it's patience at the end of it all.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
apart from it being hard to communicate, a lot of people just don't know how.
Yeah.
And you can't blame them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's so hard to see when they really want to and they don't know how.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have that's where that patience comes in. I used to get so upset at my husband when he wouldn't have anything to say, but it's not ill intention.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's because he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm always like, what are you thinking? It's
And they don't know either.
I have to agree.
It's fair.
Yeah.
I have to agree. I mean, to add to that, because you both said something, and it kind of sums up this whole like what is our experience like with our significant others, but the idea of not knowing how to communicate your feelings is tough for the person, the individual, but like from the other side, like our side, right? How it affects us because that silence can be like death because your upbringing, you're so used to like the back and forth and the argument.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So that's
That's
where
so true.
sometimes like I freak out when there's nothing said, there's no response.
I used to break down like crazy. I was like,
Mm.
I'm like on the phone, like it's like on the phone kind of situation.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if we're
yeah.
not physically together,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my god, what's going on?
Yeah,
Oh my
what's
God,
Right.
this is it. Like this is it. Like I'm a very worst case scenario kind of person.
Yeah.
Something I'm working on.
Yeah, yeah. Me too.
But
Me
it's
too.
like
Prepared
it's
for that.
so hard to unlearn that.
It is, but that's kind of like the two sides of it. Like you understand how your partner operates,
Yeah.
but you also have your own perspective, how you are operating, how you are responding, and like basically like what are your responses to that situation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we have that awareness, right?
Mhm.
I know we've all talked about like our journeys, of kind of like healing.
Which we'll get to in another
Which we
episode
will
in
definitely
detail.
get there. Yes.
Can't leave them out of this conversation.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like, I truly feel that, again, it takes one person to kind of like, steer it back. And again, sometimes through actions or like through a little bit of pushing and like encouragement, like, hey, I know to do this, you can get there too. And then somewhere down the line, they're gonna do the same to us. If we're lacking in something, they're gonna push us in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what like setting kind of that conversation up, right?
Yes.
And I think sometimes too on the flip side, like it can also be exhausting. To be honest, to be the
I know we've all agreed.
leading that conversation every single time. Maybe it's maybe it's because we're all equally older siblings. I don't know. I don't know if that's a real case, but it's like I always feel like I have to take initiative with things, and like otherwise it's gonna go under the rug, and then I'm gonna feel resentful and I'm gonna feel some type of way. So I feel like yes, there's a hope that it will not always, like the onus won't always fall on one person. But I think that also needs to be communicated. It's like I don't always want to be the one bringing this up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's why you were the one who pushed us into this. Because you take initiative. Ladies and gentlemen,
Actually, she takes initiative.
She takes initiative.
I'm like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, yes, you have a point. It can get exhausting. It does get exhausting. Only because it's like, if it may sometimes feel like, yo, I'm dragging, like I'm pulling this like hard, and it's starting to like, I'm starting to give out right now, and it's tough. Mentally, physically, all of that, emotionally. I mean, is your experience
It is.
similar to that?
I really think being an oldest sibling makes me feel like I need to be responsible
All the time.
to control everything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like if things are not okay, I need to be the one to fix it.
Right.
And And that's a problem. That's a me problem. A huge me problem.
Yeah.
That's not my experience so much. Like I can relate to a certain level.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe because my wife and I are both like
Oh.
first.
Wait, no, my boyfriend and I are too.
Yeah, but I mean,
I feel like-
that's why my question is like, how, to what extent does it like play
I don't-
into the situation?
I have a question for you. Do you think being a man, the oldest sibling, but you're a man?
Hold up, it's 2024.
Yeah, because my boyfriend is also the oldest, but I don't feel like he feels that responsibility as a kuya.
Okay, I have thoughts on this, and I think it's kind of that. Yeah, like he's first, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was first. And let's be real.
And
like,
one little sister, like both.
And one little sister. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Okay, like my upbringing was different, and into a sense of like being the first had its perks and stuff, and like I hate to say it, but it's true. It's like, you know, my mom like took care of me. You know, I was a mama's boy. My mama's boy, but
Yeah.
but you know, like how it showed up like in my relationship, it had more of a negative impact because again, like what you're saying with, oh, you can take initiative easy, right? There's a little bit of lack of I can take initiative, you know, and sometimes it's I'm gonna hand it off to my partner and just be like, oh, I think she's got it. But some things don't get done, you know, and through self-exploration, learning more about myself in various settings. Yeah, that was one of the things that that department I needed to work on, like taking more initiative. Still working on it right now.
Yeah.
But I'm aware enough and able to, you know, just like admit that, hey, I'm lacking on that department. So
yeah, which is I think fair. I mean, like I think especially like the culture that we come from is
Yeah.
very like
that's
the boy.
the boy, yes.
But for me growing up, like as an
Yeah.
older sister and all that, like I was like tasked to learn how to like, you know, clean the house, do laundry, do all of this, take care of my little brother, be responsible, be the older one at such an early age, like since I was 8 years old. And so I've always felt like this level of initiative and responsibility my entire life.
Right.
And like
Same.
the mother of my friends.
Yeah.
And like I feel like coming into like a relationship, it's like, well, this needs to get done. Let me check this not off my list, but like make sure it gets done or make sure we have this conversation and like and I think too, like that's kind of where that experience kind of like clashes. Because it's like for him it's like I'm chilling, you know? But it's like, am I chilling? But then am I overthinking?
Yes,
I don't know.
yes. Oh, the self-dialogue, you know that.
Over
I
again.
need that might be for a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, you just need to shut the fuck up.
Like, take a step
stop.
back. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be your problem to fix all the
Or
time.
immediately, right? It
Or
can also
immediately,
just
yes.
immediately.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
agreed.
especially if like you find yourself like going back to the same subject and you're like pounding on that cement of the subject, right?
Yeah.
And then you just feel like, God damn, like we're not getting anywhere. But you gotta realize maybe all we need is time.
Yes.
Step back and just relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Like and that part too, I'm a little impatient. Like when it comes to
Very impatient.
I'm a little impatient. I grow a little frustrated, as you guys know.
Yeah. I'm impatient and have a temper. Like it's not a good combo.
I have a low key temper.
I have a high key temper. I don't know about you. I have road rage like a motherfucker.
Oh.
I am not a
Wait.
chill girl.
No, I'm not a chill girl.
God. Another reason why I think we came back. I think another reason why.
Why did they choose us?
Yeah, hey, fate chose us. Like,
Yeah. No, but why did our partners choose us? I was like,
oh,
damn.
yeah.
There's some consistency there.
100%.
No, all of them.
Yin and yang, yin and yang. I'll say
True.
that. Because I think we
Yes.
can all agree
Yeah.
our partners have the side that we wish like
Yes.
we could be
I wish I was chill like that, but I'm not.
Yes,
Yes.
like absolutely
Yeah.
bless my wife's heart. Like she is like the chillest and the most calm in any kind of situation.
Yeah.
And like when somebody cuts me off, I'm ready to face up down, whatever. She's like, you stop. What are you doing?
Same.
Stop.
Same.
Okay, so
oh my God.
things like that, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back to the point. We add to the table, they add to the table, and like whatever is there, we share amongst each other. In that sharing, you hope that you find growth. You hope you find like, you know, a little bit more like clarity in things going forward. And then that strengthens your relationship overall.
Yeah.
I think for me, like my impatience plays into that where it's just like, damn, the results are not happening. But it's like, hey, remind yourself. You gotta just chill. Let time like take its course and it's gonna play out. It's gonna work out
Yeah.
the way it's supposed to.
It's definitely a soft wall. Like talking to a wall that can eventually mold a little bit, you know? Because I feel like for me, like I've had repeated conversations, but through this time, it's like I've seen in action that growth.
Right.
So it's like I don't lose all hope,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But it's definitely like a learning experience to be that patient. And I think too, like for the sake of, you know, the people that we're with, like you can't just change somebody overnight.
No.
And you
Oh my
can't.
goodness, no way.
And going back to like us feeling like our reflection, like looking at our reflections, they would also have to look at their reflections and like, what does that look like? And having that conversation with themselves is also overwhelming. So having the patience for them is also part of that.
And accepting that they will come to that in their own time.
In their own time.
We
Yes.
cannot push them.
Oh gosh. It's a concept that I
Yeah.
battle with so much, but it's like it's true. It's so true. Their time is different from our time.
And what I'm interested in, because like I feel like for me, like especially talking to my single friends, right? Like I have, you know, my girlfriends are out there dating, and like they like know exactly what they're looking for in terms of like, you know, this, and this kind of growth, and like this kind of level of like emotional maturity. And for me, I feel like since I started my relationship pretty early on, it's like, oh, we're just like getting there, and like I can't expect him to be there at that time, because even when I was his age when we first started dating, I wasn't necessarily there exactly.
Right.
And so we're growing with each other. And so I'm interested in your perspective since you've been dating a bit longer, I think. Like what is that like in terms of like, you know, you guys got together but older in your age rather than like very, very young. Because I got with my boyfriend like 19.
That's right. Yeah.
And I was
18.
17.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sweetheart.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, I've stumbled across like along the way in the relationship dating department. Like I had my faults. You know, went through partners that, you know, it seemed like it was going to work out, but it eventually didn't. But something signaled that, you know, something's wrong. And especially early on, it was more like, dude, it can't be me. Like I'm doing everything by the book, like doing everything that, you know, like they want that, I'm going to deliver. I'm going to give like what they're looking for, but something still is not working out. And you find yourself in that cycle. You're repeating the same over and over again. And you finally realize, damn, it's not the relationship, it's me.
The common denominator?
That's the common denominator. And it was a tough like realization, but I got to that eventually. And I mean, on top of that, I think there was a level of pressure that I put on myself after every single relationship. That it's like, okay, I grew, I learned something. I'm gonna try to be me, but add to what I didn't do and what I learned from the last. But it didn't work out, and continued that cycle on and on. But eventually, I think it was a combination of just hey, I have a few things that I need to sort through. And then also take some of that pressure off. Because I think that's one of the main like culprits in like robbing you of that experience, that true experience, when you have so many expectations set,
Exactly.
you know, from the get.
Yeah.
And it's a list that nobody's gonna ever, you know, be able to like, you know, live up to. That's true.
Yeah.
So, you know, you set yourself up for some failure.
Yeah.
If you just take that expectation out of the way and just kind of go with it, like go with the flow, right? And give yourself that opportunity to, I'm gonna get to know this person. And I think naturally it's gonna signal to you like a red flag or yellow flag is gonna come up, and it's gonna
Beige.
cause
They
you.
call it beige now.
Beige?
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Beige flag.
No, okay, we need to talk about that too. We need to talk about that too, because like there's gonna be obviously some like differences in terms of like what was during my time or your time.
Look, like it's a growing thing. I was having a conversation with my friend, and I learned this recently that there's that they added a step to dating.
What's that?
Where it's like, you're exclusive, but you're not boyfriend and girlfriend yet.
The fuck?
It came about during the era of situationships, when people were realizing situationships were. So she's like,
so there's another layer to that.
There's another layer. I know. No,
Okay.
I know. But they were actually two of my girlfriends, and they were talking about it because they went from like, you know, having a roster, as they say.
Yes.
So they were like, so the difference between that middle is like you lose your roster, but you're not going to introduce them to your family yet. It's such a weird purgatory middle. But that's what dating is right now. Because
I actually know quite a few people in that. They have been in that
for a minute.
For a long time.
Because I think like just how like the level of like dating apps and like that kind of like exposure has put people in, and like it's just so strange. But she asked me about it because she was like, do you think there's a difference? And I was like, no. And she's like, but there is.
Oh, wow.
You've just been out of the game for too long. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to say that because there's continuous vocabulary that is constantly changing that we're out of touch of.
To definitely get to that point of like, there's gonna be some differences.
Yes.
I need to hear these differences. I need to get like caught up on the lingo for sure. All right.
I am out of it. Like I never know what. I need that update too.
Yeah. Beige flag is just like, it's not bad. It's just like,
I do know that one.
Yeah. But I think
it just is.
I think back to that point, it's like you're gonna like learn these things along the way, and then you adjust. You just adjust. That's it.
I feel like I've grown more being in a relationship than being single.
I mean, that's kind of like what a relationship does.
It's crazy.
A healthy relationship.
Yeah,
That's what a healthy relationship does.
Yeah, like it exposes a bit of like what you may have overlooked about yourself, things that you're lacking, things that you just blatantly are trying to avoid. Like a relationship is going to expose that stuff.
Yeah.
And at that point, that's when you make that decision on your end. Am I going to face this, or am I going to address it, or I'm just going to let it be? Because if you just let it be, your relationship's going to suffer. Inevitably.
But you can't pick every single fight you want to fight, right?
No.
Like you got to choose. Some things you just accept.
Yes. One really big thing I learned from marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling.
Talk about it.
Here we go.
Is that in a relationship, they said 70% of problems are not solvable. And that's just what it is. You just take it. Because you are different people. You're never going to be on the same page about everything. And if you're so focused on changing the other person, you're going to be the one suffering.
Yeah. You can't
bring that over. Like, I need more of that energy. Because I'm on the opposite end. I'm thinking like 70% of problems, maybe 100% of problems could be solved.
Yeah, not everything can be solved.
God.
I feel like for me, like, I feel like at the end of the day, it's like, who you choose to go through those problems with.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
That's-
Like, they're not solvable, but I'm glad I get to do it with you.
Yeah.
Exactly. And even just learning to be okay with the fact that it's not solved. Like,
Yeah.
that is something we address in how we grew up. Because
Right.
we always feel like we need to solve all that.
Yes.
That's
stuff,
true.
you know?
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
so conflict avoidant because I'm like, ooh, conflict. And then it's like,
it needs
then I need to solve it right
Yeah,
now
yes.
because I don't want it anymore.
Mhm.
Like
No,
conflict.
because if it wasn't addressed, then you get something.
Right,
You know what I'm talking about. Yes. All of that.
Yeah,
So
everything.
I think, yeah. Again, going back, our upbringing. You know,
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
like it's
Yeah.
like I remember so much because it's like so traumatizing.
Yeah.
And I think like it's so interesting just to like I think again reflect on that
Right.
Mhm.
in a relationship. And honestly, I also empathize with my parents so much better the more I've been in like a relationship because it's like, no, this was hard and I understand why they separated.
Mhm.
I understand like why like my
Yes.
Yeah.
step parents and all that stuff. And so like
Yeah.
it's so much work.
But okay, so from that perspective, like, was there ever an opportunity that was communicated from your parents to you,
like what exactly?
as far as like, hey, it could be dynamic, it could be like on the spot or like in hindsight and everything, but it's like just tidbits of this is why we didn't work, this is what the struggles that are inherent in a relationship. It wasn't communicated, right?
I don't think, yeah, I mean, like, I feel like the thing about, especially like immigrant households, like, no one's gonna admit.
So do you
Parents
agree,
don't
Abby?
admit.
Do you agree?
Oh,
Okay.
Do
yeah.
not admit.
Okay, that's exactly my point.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're all out here trying to learn and like fend
Reflect,
for ourselves,
Grow. Yeah.
and yet we're still like kind of some of our like internal drivers are based off of like what we saw in our households,
Yeah.
and that's all we knew. That's everything. But it's like, some of that it was bad.
It was bad.
It was.
It was bad. Like,
Some
you
of
should
those
not
things-
be, like, leaving a car when it's driving mid-conflict.
No.
Like, that's crazy. Yeah.
Way.
Yeah. And walk home. Like, that's
Oh,
crazy.
crap.
Ooh.
That's crazy. Watching that from the backseat, that was insane.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen levels of that too.
Yeah.
But I guess what my question was is that if would it have made a difference if that was communicated, as far as like, hey, because we're realizing it now, but it's because we're going through our own experience. But
I think it would have made a difference in making this process go faster.
true. Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It would have made a big difference because I would have had some kind of example,
Example, yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
I feel like so much of this is trial and error.
Mhm.
Right.
And if there was a little more direction, someone in the household that I could really look up to when it came to dealing with
Yeah.
conflict and being honest and opening up, it would have made things more different,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, did you all get a sense of like what was presented to you, the good and the bad, made it feel like, okay, that's kind of what I have to look forward to in relationships, and then couple that with other things, other things that influenced you.
I think, like a lot of my family have separated with their partners at some point. Usually there's like a second husband or second wife. And so a lot of like my mentality comes from like, oh, you can always leave them at some point. Something can always happen. And I think that is something I'm trying to unlearn, because I think part of that, like the difference between walking away versus trying to work towards something
Mhm.
Yes.
and like discerning that. It's like
Yes.
my first initial reaction always like, I'm just gonna leave
Okay.
and abandon it all.
Yeah.
But then the later thought is like, no, but part of like committing to this is putting in the work.
Yeah.
But it's so much easier as I watch a lot of my family members going through these things and like not exactly like you said, like having that example directly in my life. I
Mhm.
feel like not in the way that I think would make sense. it has definitely influenced a lot of my relationship and like how I kind of navigate it, and like usually by myself, because I'm not trying to like start a fight every single time.
Right.
But it's like a lot of inner dialogue where it's like,
Yes.
no, it's okay. You work through it. You have to go through it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's the end.
Right.
It doesn't mean he wants to break up with you. Which
Yeah.
was like, dude, my first year, every single time, do you want to break up with me?
Yeah, but you're right. So, like, self-sabotage
Mm.
in itself, like beating yourself to what could happen when it hasn't even happened yet. Just because of what you've seen has unraveled in front of you.
That's
with,
right.
like, people that you really respect and
That's
love.
right.
But then separating yourself from that, learning how to do that, my goodness. And it all comes from that control that, for me, it comes from the control that I want. I am so, like, I have no direction in this. I feel like I have no control, so I'm just going to mess it up myself because that's where I feel like I have
Sometimes you
control.
just want to pick a fight.
Yeah. Oh my, I have like fighting moods, and it's like my husband is so chill. He's just like living his life, and I come in so hot. And it's so mean, and
I totally get it.
Yeah.
Totally get it.
after I feel so bad
Like
for what I've
shitty
done.
after.
Dude, I could be like folding my laundry, and then I think about something, and I'm like, you know, that's a problem. Bring it up. And it was never a problem to begin with. He's just like, where did this come from? And I'm like, I don't know, I was folding my like shorts.
And they handle it with so much grace.
Yeah, they do.
And you're just like, man, can I have some of that patience?
Yeah,
Some of that
for real.
chill. Like,
A
why
little
am I?
A chill vibe.
No, but do you get the opposite feeling that it's like that you maybe too much?
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, "Okay, leave."
Yeah. Dude, every time.
Yeah.
I'm like, this has to be too much.
Yeah,
There has to be
yeah,
someone
it's
who's more
They're
chill.
gonna get
100%,
sick of this
yes.
eventually.
I
100%.
know.
That's also that comes into that inner dialogue. It's like,
Yeah, that's why sometimes I just internalize it because, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, if I bring it up every single time, like, you'll think I'm insane.
Yeah. But I
That's
can't
why-
help it.
But I can't help it.
That's
It's hard.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like, as we start to wrap up, like, I want to ask, like, you know, I've engaged in a lot of vulnerable public things a lot. Like, I do a lot of things
Yes.
that I just, at this point, like, I'm very comfortable talking about my trauma, but I
Right.
want to end like my relationship to an extent. But I want to know what you guys, how do you guys feel like opening up and having this conversation now that we're on our first episode?
Having conversations with our partners.
No conversation
Oh,
about
right now?
like being vulnerable for this situation.
You want to go first?
Sure. I feel a big weight lifted off my shoulders because I was so afraid of it, but it doesn't feel so bad
Right.
because I'm with people I trust.
Yeah.
And for whoever this reaches, I believe they're meant they're meant to hear it.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, this is all for my growth and,
Yes.
you know, more self-reflection. My gosh,
Yeah.
but more of it
Yeah.
because I know I need it. And to get that, I need to be vulnerable and I need to be out of my comfort zone. So I feel proud of myself for.
Yay! We're proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
100%.
Thank you.
How about you, Guya?
I mean, I'm on that like opposite side, and like I've said this to my partner plenty of times, but I don't think I have a problem being vulnerable and open. And maybe there's a problem that lies in that because what I've learned about myself is that being open and sharing, you know, some of the problems, the issues, like some of the hardships that I've experienced, you know, maybe it's something I was brewing on or something just like on the spot. That's always been my like reaction or like my immediate, like, it's in nature, right? For me.
Just Gemini things.
Maybe. It's a Gemini thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I'm ready to call up a friend that's willing to listen, or like, you know, I have my partner that
Me
I'm gonna
too.
like, you know,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when it doesn't pertain to them, you just
no, 100%. But
Mm.
to a certain point, you gotta realize, and I realized that it's like you gotta stop because I didn't get much after that. And maybe initially I felt like I got that weight taken off of me,
Yeah.
but what did I do after? It still resides, it still lives.
It's the same.
It's
Yeah.
the same,
Yeah.
and I mean that took a long time for me to realize that yes, there's a certain level of vulnerability and willing to be open, like that you should have. But to what extent? To what end? There has to be something that you take from that, and especially productive, and especially if somebody realizing this too, that the person that is sitting in front of me or is on the other line, or just I'm taking up their time and it's valuable. And if I don't do anything to honor their time, and they have great advice to give back, if I don't do anything with it, then it's just like a complete waste.
Some of the opening conversations whenever I have net sessions with friends, it's always a good starter is are you in a good place right now to listen? And making sure that, because you also don't want to just dump everything over them, right?
No, very true.
And
very
then I
true.
think too, then the question from a person who listens is all right, do you want advice or do you just want someone to listen?
Yeah.
And it's always I don't think you should stop, but it's just choosing the right time and place when that person wants to listen.
Right.
And I think going back into relationship stuff and having bigger conversations, it's also making sure you catch that person in the right time. I'm not talking to him about stuff on his third he's a nurse, so day 3 of a 3-day shift. I'm not talking about anything serious.
Because if you get in between the sleep or lack of caffeine, whatever the case may be, or it's just I do not want to hear about problems. I just want to chill and all that. You try to mess that, it's you might awaken a beast.
No, you'll awaken a beast and then you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, it's an even bigger problem than what you started with.
And
then I feel sad. Fucking nurses, man. Fucking nurses.
Hey, shout out to all the nurses.
Shout out to nurses. Frontline workers. Thank you.
Nurses saving the world.
Saving
lives. You guys do so much. And my boyfriend always makes the joke. He's you need to have a support group of friends who have nurses as partners. So you're kind of trapped, but
I know it is. It's doubly there's double the benefits, but there's double the
non-benefits.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you guys seen that meme? Or just little videos of get yourself a nurse, as a partner?
No.
There's just it was a while back, but it's basically they'll nurse you to life. If you have a hangover, you have a you get hurt or whatever, or it's basically that. Or there's a level of get yourself a nurse because they're a good time. They're gonna drink if you or whatever because they need to unload and unwind. It's all that stuff, and it kind of heightened the whole or marketing ideal partner, a nurse.
That's funny. That was probably your algorithm.
That's specifically.
No, but I believe it.
You gotta sprinkle it into your algorithm.
My algorithm's gonna hear it though, and it's gonna take it in now. So I'll start seeing those videos.
We're gonna get that.
Yeah. But it's definitely going back to just communication being the key. Communication at the right time, at the right place, and in the right mindset. Because I feel having conversations during conflict, it's just hard. It's just hard,
Yeah.
Nowhere getting that off the ground.
No.
At this juncture, we are going to introduce a quote unquote law that we follow as individuals and carry. I'm gonna share that with each other. I think I told you, but I'm gonna say it anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they didn't hear it.
They didn't hear
it.
So
you got it.
Yes. So.
And it's a good one.
Yeah, I think it's it says a lot, but my law is that you greet somebody standing up. You don't say hi, especially when somebody comes into the room that you respect. You don't just say what's up, give them a handshake while sitting down or whatever. You stand up and properly engage with them, right? Yeah, that's my law.
Okay. Yeah, I like that law.
Yeah.
Really awesome.
Very social. Very social.
I think it's kind of one of those unwritten social etiquette type things. It shows a lot back and forth, right?
Yeah.
That's
Agreed. Good law.
Yeah. My law is pick up after yourself.
Hold on. Let's be more specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think or something.
When you're a guest, specifically when you're a guest in someone's home, you don't have to wash the dishes necessarily, but like if you have a wrapper on the table, put that wrapper in the trash, maybe. I think I also just have a peeve of picking up after other people. So I feel like
Wait. So you don't like doing that?
I don't like picking up after people.
Okay. I feel the opposite.
Really?
That's weird, right? Like
We have different laws. It's
for some
okay.
reason, like especially like after hosting something, like I'm more in this mode of like, don't do that. Don't do that. I'll do it for you. Like you're here and stuff like that. Like although I want to see it like clean and like everything, but I hate to see when people like bring their stuff and they're gonna like, I guess throwing away trash is fine.
Yeah.
But, like they're trying to like take it to the kitchen and that faucet turns on, like turn it off.
No, for sure. You don't have to wash the you don't have to wash the dishes.
But mine's directed towards me.
What? Oh yeah. Turn that faucet off.
No, I feel like it's more like just like, and not even like a hosting thing. Like parties, I feel like that's a pass because that's like everyone's just chilling.
Yeah.
I think it's more just like if you have just somebody over for like a few hours. It's like just like put it away or just throw it out. Like a party, I can have an exception for because it's a party.
Okay.
But it's like if you're just here to like hang out for a bit, then at least like you don't have to wash it. Just like put it next to the sink for me, please. Thank you very much. It used to drive me crazy, and I know for me that's very like trauma based because because like my stepdad, he came from a very machismo culture, and so a lot of it was like, as a man, I'm just gonna like leave this here, and I know you're gonna pick up after me, and so I resented that for a long time as a kid. It was just like, why do I have to pick up after you?
I didn't read that in the handbook. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of me is like when it comes to that, it's like a lot of just that resentment where it's like, and actually, I know we're at the closing segment of the podcast, but that happens to my relationship too, where it's like because of that, like I feel some type of way about like I don't want to be a woman picking up after you, and like but at the same time it's like no, but sometimes it's not about that, and sometimes it's just being a partner and being a co and being like, I'm gonna help and support you and help you up. But sometimes I like cross my arms and like, you can do it yourself. But that's definitely because of my trauma.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I like that one.
That's a good one. Yeah. My law. Kind of going off of Blue Brian's. Anytime I see someone I know in public, or if I'm like in a group and I don't know someone, introducing myself. Yeah. Or saying hi to them in public. Especially if I know that person and we've come into eye contact and we're just gonna pretend like we don't know. It feels weird. Like that meme of the guy with he's in school and he has that vein popping out. He's like that I physically cannot stop myself. I can't stop myself because I feel like, look, I don't know you. I'd like to know you. We're all here together. Let me introduce myself. It just feels so awkward. You know? Yeah. And there's no reason for like there to be that awkwardness if we're all, here having a good time. Or if I see someone and I know they're like avoiding me and they don't want to say hi, I'm just like, okay.
Do you still engage them?
I try, but I also can read the room, I feel like. So
right.
Yeah, but at least be civil.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, but I know not everyone is like that.
Well, that's the thing. Do you guys ever feel that maybe like in a particular room that you're in, that you look around and it's like, everybody's like that?
Yes.
Okay, so because back to that point, like there is a level of awkwardness, and I can feel it, and maybe it's just me, but it's like, dude, okay, you're new, everybody knows each other, and like nobody's introduced you, or like we don't know who you are, or vice versa, whatever.
Yeah.
But you want to say something, and I think for me, it's like if just in a vacuum, I would do the same thing as you.
Yeah.
But from experience, there have been like some awkward moments that came back to me where I was just like, hey, hey, what's up? It's like kind of just brush it off.
They don't want
Like they don't want to engage. They don't want to. Okay, that's the last time I'm gonna do that. You know, but in other rooms where you apply it, where you get up and you're just like, hey, I'm gonna like introduce myself, or I'm gonna like say, hey, like how are you doing? Like,
Right, yeah.
I don't know, that it works.
Yeah.
There's certain rooms that doesn't, certain rooms that there are.
And sometimes it just takes time too. Sometimes you can be in that room multiple times, and it doesn't take like until like the fucking 10th time that you see the same room.
What the
where
heck?
it's like,
what is that? What is that? Like, I have a thing. I have a thought.
Exposure.
No. I think low key is a cultural thing. But
Oh,
Really?
Talk about it. Yeah, I mean, I know, like, I feel like culturally, our culture is pretty cliquey.
That's what I'm saying.
Cliquey ass motherfuckers.
That's what I'm saying. So like,
Yeah.
like if it's like you're fresh meat and you are not like in.
Okay, as the most recent fresh meat of this conversation.
No.
Yes.
Not the case. I mean,
Not anymore, but like
What?
definitely like in the beginning where it was just, and I would always tell this to my boyfriend. I'm just like, God, I feel so awkward.
Wait. Hold
Oh,
on. We need dates. When and where and what was going on? Like
I would say the Vegas trip really changed a lot for me.
in a good way.
In a good way.
Of course, yeah.
Obviously, we're here.
Yeah.
But no, it was like for me for a long time. It was like I feel so awkward, like going into like family stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're gonna get into that
Yeah.
another time, but no, I think that's inherent for sure. But I mean, like you said, if you're in that room, like you see these people like 5, 6, 7, 8 times, it's like, and you're still not like acknowledging each other and dapping it up, whatever. It's like
Something's off here.
For me, I think there's a level of like cultural thing
Yeah.
going in there.
Yeah.
Maybe like an ego play, something.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, if experience taught me something, it's like I'm just gonna slide out back.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like,
let it be.
I'll just be cool.
Yes,
Like,
let
share
it
the
be.
moment.
Yes.
I would say alcohol is the best.
Alcohol
help
is
for
the best.
this.
I am not gonna lie.
That facilitated a
Maybe-
lot.
Yeah, and then I get over that and I'm just
Yeah.
like, hey man, like, you good?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Are you?
I mean, is there anything better than taking a shot together? To,
No.
like, bridge that.
Yeah, really arrange it together.
You know?
Is there anything better than taking a shot at atomic golf?
Multiple shots.
Well, I think the first one kicked
Dude,
it all
I
off.
still think about that tequila shot from Atomic Golf and I want to
Yes.
yak. Like, that was not great.
But I mean, you know what? That's one of my go-tos. I just feel like in any scenario, it's gonna bring people together,
Mhm.
right?
It just loosens the goosey.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, like you get that group cheers, and it's like
Yeah.
after that you get the shot and it burns and it sucks, and then after you're still not talking, it's like, dang, I can't do anything more for you,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah,
Sorry.
brother.
You're on
Sorry,
your own.
brother.
Oh, brother.
Like we're done. Like that's all I can do. That's the best I can do.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to the In-Laws We Trust podcast, our very first episode. We hope that you enjoyed, you related what we had to say, and you'll take these conversations back into your life.
Let us know what you think. We really value your feedback, and it will really help our podcast grow.
Follow us on the socials linked below, and
We'll catch you on the next one.
Yes.